Hello, everyone. Welcome. Appreciate you guys joining today. I know it's you guys are probably doing many other things. So we're excited to connect with you, and I'm really excited to go into an actual account. It's one thing to, talk about these theories, but we were hoping that this live audit would hopefully give you guys insight into an account, and we will be talking through kind of the best practices for account, what we're seeing with one of the accounts. So I appreciate everyone that applied for it. But please put in your questions in the Q&A. I have Emily with me here as well, who did the session a little bit earlier, and we will be able to answer a lot of your questions. And so I will go ahead and just give some background. So we'll be auditing San Antonio Museum of Art. So again, we appreciate Michelle and her team for allowing us to do this, but just wanted to give you some context on their goals. So obviously they're a museum. Every museum operates very differently. Definitely recommend you guys checking out their website. It's very high quality. But when they came to us, their main goals are ticket sales. They obviously want to just increase their website traffic through the free ad grant. And obviously they have so many different events, exhibits that they put on in programs. And ultimately, they just want to increase their brand awareness with tourists in San Antonio and, of course, outside of San Antonio. They also have an online shop. It's not their top priority, but they, figured that they could also promote it through the ad grant. And so I'm going to go ahead and actually share their account specifically. Let me see here. Alrighty. Can we all see this screen? Perfect. Okay. And so there's a lot of data here. So I recommend you guys pulling up your accounts and or just absorbing what I'm going to be going over. But typically we like to look at the last 30 days. I'm also going to look at the lifetime of their account. But more importantly, I want to also look over their 6 months data. And so currently, right now, they're getting close to spending the full 10K, which is awesome. This is actually quite new for them, which I'll go over. And then these are other metrics that we like to look at, right? Conversions, what's actually happening with this account. However, that is directly correlated with the conversion setup in their account. So this number is sometimes subjective, but I will be going over a little bit about what they have set up. Click-through rate is very important. So unfortunately, their account is technically under that 5% click-through rate. So we already talked about some low-hanging fruits of getting it back up by pausing some campaigns. But just remember, everyone, that you do have to have a 5% average of your total account, not per campaign. And then obviously clicks is super important as well. And so, like I said, I did want to go into their lifetime of their ad grant. I recommend you guys doing this and actually breaking it up by the month itself. So as this loads, I usually like to look at the monthly data. And so this just shows, it looks like in 2020, this is when they got their account active. But when I connected with Michelle and the museum team, you can see here that their cost was typically about under $1,000, anywhere from $400 to $1,000. And it wasn't until really these last couple months that they started to jump up. So in February, they spent around $2,400. Now they're spending 52, and now they're upwards of almost 10. We'll go over where are they actually spending this money. But what's important to know, and what Emily talked about as well, is that our team isn't concerned about maximizing the full 10,000 because some places it just doesn't make sense. We're more concerned about what is happening to these people. Who are these people? Are they staying on our site? Are they joining our email list? Are they purchasing tickets? Are they downloading our resources that we have available? So keep in mind, and I think a lot of organizations, we can get hung up on maximizing the full 10K, but let's remember that the ad grant is for website traffic, and that is its sole purpose. But what is happening to these people afterwards is what we really want to know as well. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the last 12 months data. So I'm actually going to put this back to December of 2021. And then I'm going to dive into the account specifically. Oh, yeah. Great. And so what I recommend everyone doing is going into your campaigns and filtering it off of costs. So cost is really an easy filter. You guys can just click on it here and it kind of will change the data here. But it's important for us to know where are we actually spending our money. Some things also to take in mind is our bid strategy type. So Emily went over a couple different ones. Maximizing conversions is probably one of the most popular ones that we use here, but that is also dependent on what conversions you actually have set up. So do keep that in mind, that your conversion tracking is very important to the success of this actual strategy type. Maximizing clicks is great. Maximizing or target CPA is also an option. Um, but another thing to point out here is also the budget for these campaigns. And so whenever you guys are starting a new account, or if you don't know where to go with your current account, as Emily mentioned, we recommend to do a shared budget of around $329 per day on all of your accounts, and then structuring the bid amount, and the budget amount depending on what we're actually going for here. So this team decided to put a little bit more money towards this campaign versus their monopoly was a product in their store that they were trying to sell, which definitely makes sense. So as I actually go into this campaign, the first thing that we always want to look at is the structure of the account. How many ad groups and how many ads? Like Emily was describing, this will change. There's not as many rules and regulations with the grant anymore, but it's important for us to organize it comparing to its actual keywords. So when I go into this ad group, tourism outside of San Antonio, we find that their top two keywords are just San Antonio and San Antonio attractions. Although these are good keywords that are relevant to what they do, the actual structure and the organization of this count is a little bit off in terms of Google's best practices, because Google doesn't know the difference between things to do and museum collection. It doesn't connect the two, although we might. And so we do recommend only about 5 to 15 keywords per ad group. And the reason why we want to do this is because we want our keywords to be as relevant to one another as possible. And so, these attraction ones make sense, or, the museum ones, we want all in one ad group. And so I just wanted to point that out. Although, again, this is changing with responsive search ads, RSA is what we're calling them. There's a lot of accounts that still have these expanded text ads. And so going in here and optimizing your account before July will be very important. An indicator of this is your quality score. So you guys can actually add this quality score column in just your columns here. If you click it and just type in quality score so everyone can see this. It's important for us to take a look at this because, as Emily mentioned before, your quality score has to do with 3 things: your keyword, the actual ad that we create, and your landing page on your site. The more that these 3 are relevant, the more Google gives us a higher quality score, because you are answering my question. And remember, that is the nature of Google, right? Answering my question. And Google is going to show the most relevant search to me, the user. And so ideally, our goal at Community Boost is that we have a quality score of about 7 out of 10. We don't want anything below 5. 5 is okay, but typically we want to shoot for that 7. And ones that aren't here means that Google just doesn't register them as quality. And so this is important to note, that although we might be, selecting a lot of keywords, the structure and how we're organizing it in the account isn't ideal. And to give you an example of this, so, we have attractions here, we have museum collections, we have things to do. So ideally, our ads will reflect these keywords. So when I actually go into the ads that this campaign has, there's only one ad. Now, with the new realm that we're going into, having multiple ads isn't as necessary, but for your old ads, it is necessary to have at least 2 to 4, giving Google variation. And ideally, again, these keywords are showing up in our ad, right? We want it to be relevant, and that will help with the quality score of your actual ad. And so I just wanted to highlight this, that although, it's great copy, we definitely want more variants. Again, RSAs, the responsive search ads that are being implemented in July, this will change, and I'll show you guys an example of that. This is where the disconnect is from the keywords, right? Museum collection should be in the ad, and that is why the quality score is low and or not existent. And so when I go back to the campaigns itself, I also wanted to show you all dynamic ads. So sometimes organizations do this. We personally don't do it here at Community Boost because it's basically automated. It's kind of like boosted versus paid ads. Google does recognize that actually creating ads from scratch is a little bit harder, requires more expertise. So they do offer dynamic target ads. Again, we don't recommend this personally here, but if you are strapped on time and you don't want to think about it, this is an option. However, you will see that the results typically are as good because you're basically automating where this will go. And this is just an example of a dynamic ad. And then the other ad group within this top performing campaign, right? This is spending the majority of the account, spending about $8,200, is hotel stayers. So when I connected with Michelle and the team, they wanted to start competing for some of these kind of tourist keywords. But the only thing that is off about this is that we probably want to have content on our site that is talking about best hotels or hotels near me, right? Because Google is going to show actual hotels over yours because, again, we're not having content answering these questions. So although that we can compete for competitor keywords, Emily was alluding to making sure that we actually have answers on our site. Again, it's a little bit more effective in a paid search account, but we can do it within the grant as well. And so we can just see here, a lot of these just don't have a quality score because when we go into actual ad itself, it's the same ad, right? We'd want it to be more around hotels, not just the description here. And again, having content on our site will help increase that quality score, right? Because it has to do with the landing page. Where are we sending this traffic towards? And so when I go back into the account, the other top campaign, it is paused here just by this pause button here, is one of their specific exhibits that they did. So again, we typically want a little bit more ad groups, but I just wanted to show this again where, again, these are great keywords, right? But Google doesn't know the difference, between native art and in art or female artists in art gallery, right? It's not making that connection. And again, with our old ads, we want to give variation of these ads, right? And making sure that they actually align with our keywords. Again, our goal is about 15 keywords or less per ad group. And in a lot of our accounts that we see and that we audit here at Community Boost, there's quite a bit. There's about 35 in just this ad group alone. And like I said, it's not that these keywords aren't good, but the structure of it isn't what Google sees as quality, right? And so there's many things that I can go over here. A couple that I wanted to go over as well is locations. So geo-targeting, geo-fencing, right, is this term that's thrown around a lot. But there typically is opportunity to target, they're in Texas, also outside of Texas. In this, they excluded the San Antonio area for the tourism outside of San Antonio, which makes sense. But we also probably want to also add targets around in San Antonio as well within the area where a local person like myself might be looking for things to do. So just keeping this in mind. Another opportunity in most accounts that we see are audiences. So this museum is actually doing quite well with their observation audiences. So Katie in the last session talked a little bit about this, but basically there's these affinity audiences that are possible within Google Ads. So we're able to target people, in lifestyles and hobbies, right? Arts and theater, family vacation. So this account is doing it, which is great. Observation is good. We do recommend this because this is basically trying to it's basically collecting data, and Google will tell you the difference here. It's just reporting on what demographics actually clicking on it versus targeting is telling Google to only target a specific, audience segment that we're telling it. So again, we do recommend this. You guys can set it up here or it's in your tools and settings in your audience manager. So a couple options there. But what we do like about this is that we can see who are our top audiences, right? And we can make bid adjustments based on this, where we would then recommend for this account to then create a campaign that's targeting, right, specifically going towards this specific audience segment that Google found out for us is converting the most. Other than that, I definitely wanted to show conversion tracking. So conversions are in your tools and settings. And this is arguably one of the first things that we do with our partners at Community Boost because it will tell us what is actually happening with our account other than spend and click through rate and impressions. So conversion tracking can be quite complicated. We do recommend the source being Google Analytics. Now, the reason why we do this is that it's a lot more custom. It usually integrates with your site a bit better, and it usually gives us better data. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind is that they do have quite a bit actually set up here. We probably want to verify some of these, right? That doesn't mean that they're all running perfectly fine. Some of these might be outdated, right? So we definitely want to make sure what is here is actually proper. So we would recommend this account taking a look at their conversion tracking. And some of these are great, right? Where website visits, it's fine. But somewhere where we also like to expand is 5+ pages and 5+ minutes on your site. Because to us, that is a very highly engaged person. So that's just something that we would add. Also, newsletter signups, and obviously for them, ticket orders, right, or member signups. But again, we probably want to verify these since they haven't had any conversions, based on this in the past 6 months. But I guarantee that they potentially have. Obviously, they weren't spending too much in their account, average around 3 to 5K up until this last month. So this might be right, but again, you definitely want to verify that it is tracking properly. So conversion tracking, like I said, everyone, it can be complicated. We have a team here that actually does it in the back end with Google Analytics, but it's definitely worth looking into and or investing into an agency like Community Boost to do for you through our partnerships, because we want to learn what's happening with our accounts. We actually want to learn the value of some of our, efforts. And more importantly, this maximizing conversion strategy that helps us go over the $2 cost per click is only possible through conversion tracking. But yeah, so it's a little bit complicated, but very important. And so obviously there's so much more that I could go into. But again, everyone, these are the top views that we typically like to look at. There's obviously many other ones where you can actually go into the value of it. Cost does have to do with the actual spend of the account itself. And again, this account has a lot of campaigns. Some of them are smart campaigns. We don't technically recommend this. I actually just want to show you guys a view of it because it's automated, just like boosted posts and meta ads, right? Facebook ads. It's very basic and it doesn't really tell us much. It tells us how many people click and all of these great things, but it's pretty automated, as you can see, versus a normal campaign. We actually have control over what we can do. And so the last thing I wanted to share, and Emily, I would love for you to chime in, is talking about this new world of responsive ads. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull up what a responsive ad looks like and the benefits of it, if you don't mind. Just kind of going over what is this update that's coming up and some of the benefits as I pull it up.
Yeah. Responsive search ads are the new primary ad format. And you can see there where it says view asset details. That's kind of how you tell the difference between a responsive search ad and a normal traditional expanded text ad. So the important thing to note is that they'll look exactly the same on the search engine results page. So the user wouldn't be able to tell the difference, but they're just configured a little bit differently on the back end. So RSAs have been available for about a year now, but they will be the primary format starting in July. So we have seen responsive search ads gain a lot more traction compared to expanded text ads. That's just because they're the new ad format and Google is really favoring them. So with responsive search ads, like Janaye had mentioned, it kind of allows you to put in a bank of headlines and descriptions for each ad group. So that's why you really only need one RSA per ad group. So the typical compliance rule that's been in place about having at least 2 ads per ad group will be going away in July. So with responsive search ads, you still do have total control over the ad copy, but what you're allowing Google to do is kind of order the headlines and descriptions as they see fit based on the user and what they searched for. And so the beauty of responsive search ads, as you can see in kind of that blue rectangle at the top of the page, is each RSA gets an ad strength. going from poor to average to good to excellent. And so we want to have our RSAs be at least average, but ideally we want the ad strength to be good or excellent. So you can also kind of see in those little bubbles on the right hand side, Google gives indicators of how you can improve your ad strength. So that is kind of the new strategy when it comes to ad copy. With expanded text ads, we would do a lot of A B testing, but now the main goal is going to be improving ad strength. So, all that to be said, we do still recommend while you have the opportunity to create expanded text ads, still try to test them out, because the beauty of expanded text ads is that if you're using single variable testing, which is essentially having all of the copy be the same, with ads in an ad group, except for one difference, like maybe headline 2 is the one different aspect of an ad, and that ad has a higher click-through rate or has a higher conversion rate, you can easily tell, okay, that headline is the only difference in these 3 ads. So that must, entice users to click on it more. It must lead, to a higher conversion rate. So expanded text ads are really great for that A/B testing. And then once you have those pieces of ad copy that work well, you can use that in other areas as well, like in your Facebook ads or in your email marketing. So I do really love expanded text ads for that purpose. Although, again, we're kind of getting down to the wire since they'll be going away in July. So I would test them now while you can, but definitely get familiar and comfortable with responsive search ads. Then the last thing to note is that expanded text ads will still be able to run in July. You just won't be able to create new ones and you won't be able to edit them. So kind of have your expanded text ads the way that you want to, at least for the moment. Starting in July, if they become irrelevant, you'll just have to pause them.
Awesome. And so I know obviously that was a lot of information. So I did want to just pull up some overall notes, right? So these are obviously for the museum's takeaway. So on average, they were spending about 5K per month. They are spending close to that full 10K now. And a lot of it is around, again, that keyword San Antonio and things to do, which is fine and great. But I think there's opportunity, right, to really organize the account in terms of our goals, right? Thinking about where do we actually want to send this traffic, creating those proper ad groups, keyword optimization, improving the overall quality score, and also expanding our geo targeting a bit. When me and Emily were taking a look at this, really the areas of opportunity is optimizing those keyword searches, using tools like the keyword planner to really not guess what people are typing in, but to know and have data driven decisions. We definitely want to get some proper conversion tracking in place and or verify what's in there. We definitely need to increase our click-through rate of this account, which we will work with Michelle after this to just avoid their suspension, which is anywhere from 30 to 60 days. And then, based on their audiences that they already have set up, which is great, we want to now target specific audiences based on those observations. And so I just wanted to pull up a slide that Emily created earlier and just what makes an effective campaign. And remember that we want to organize our campaigns by your overall goals, right? Having a campaign for branded, to donate, for awareness, for volunteers, even for events. Then we want to organize our keywords into these ad groups that are really relevant to one another. And again, this will help with that quality score and making it relevant. Definitely want to consider this geo targeting and budgeting, right? Less emphasis on maximizing the full 10K, more about, okay, what is the area that we're working in and how can we reach those people in our area? And then obviously testing out different bid strategy types, which there are some listed here. So I hope that was all helpful. We know that some people have accounts that are suspended or they have it, they don't know what they're doing with it, or they work with agencies and maybe they're questioning, how they're actually managing it. So our report cards here are essentially audits. So if you're interested in our services and what we actually do with nonprofits, we're offering these free audits. And so we can dive into your account and also just share with you how we go about our management with our partners. So I'm sure you guys have seen this throughout the entire time. So just wanted to make sure to offer that. And then I definitely want to take the majority of this time to go over Q&As, as I know that was very complicated. So
thanks, Janaye, and thanks, Emily, for coming back and going through that as well. I think it's so helpful because, we can talk about strategies, but when we actually see the account for ourselves and see how you walk through it, it's just so practical, like, and we're able to, go ahead and implement those learnings on our end. So this has been incredibly helpful. I have some questions kind of queued up. And I would encourage everyone here, there's 136 of us. This is your chance. If you want our team of experts to answer any and all your questions on the ad grants and your account management, go ahead and put those in the Q&A pane. And yeah, you can still go ahead. I just dropped the link in the chat for the audit or report card so that you can actually sit down with our team and get your account assessed. That being said, we have plenty of questions to go over. I really like this question from Reagan. Does quality score matter outside of compliance? Like if my ads have a 4 out of 10 quality score, is that okay?
Yeah, I would say that it is still really important to try to get quality score, like Janaye mentioned, at least a 6 or 7. You're probably not going to get a 10 out of 10 unless it's maybe like your branded name or you have such specific language on the page that relates to your ad copy. So I don't know if you necessarily have to have 10 out of 10 as the goal for every single keyword. Again, especially if we're kind of like walking the line between more tangential generic keywords. But that being said, it is just an easy way to boost your ranking without having, to add other keywords. It's really how Google's determining which ads get put on the search engine results page. And so something that you can do is sometimes partners don't really know where to put these pages on their site. You can have standalone landing pages for these channels like ad grants. So you can send people to a specific page that would be really kind of engineered, like in the example where people are looking for things to do in San Antonio. It might be a little awkward to have within your normal site structure, but you can send them to an ad grant specific page that talks about things to do, really relates to your keywords, makes a lot of sense. And if you have a landing page that's really specific for that, then you can have a call to action, like to purchase tickets, to explore hotels in the area. So that can make it a lot easier to increase the quality score as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily. Yeah, and also to both of you, the Q&A pane, feel free to take a look. There's a few like more specific questions. So Lisa asked if a museum admission gift shop / cafe discount was offered to hotel stayers on the ad landing page, would Google reward that?
Yeah, I would say that could work if the text is on the landing page. Another area that you can utilize these kind of benefits are in extensions. So those are other pieces of the ad outside of just the traditional ad copy. So there are different types of extensions. Google has price extensions. So if you're selling products, you can show kind of the price of the different products. It also has promotion extensions, which might work well for that example if you have a specific like sale or promotion going on. It also has what's called site link extensions, so you can send people to specific pages on your site outside of the final URL that you're directing people to in your ad. So I think that's also some options where if you're not wanting to create a landing page for every single type of keyword, you can include a lot of that kind of those benefits and information kind of within your ad, but outside of the ad at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, this has been super incredible, super helpful. I know we're pretty much at time. I just wanted to see like if you had any final thoughts for all of us here today that are really trying to um, manage their Google ad grants well. Like, what are your tips when it comes to ad grant management?
Yeah, I think a couple that come to mind is focusing less on spending the full 10K and really focusing on organizing your account based on the tabs on your site, right? And really thinking through what are these calls to action, what are the main things that we want to go for, and then making sure the organization of your account really aligns with what keywords that we're going for, right? And using the free tool like the keyword planner to help inform what keywords that we're going for as well. Yeah, I think that's the main thing I would take away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say for me, something that often gets overlooked is the quality of your website. So, Google is very blatant that it uses factors like site speed and mobile optimization as factors in their ranking on the search engine results page. And that goes for both organic listings, which you would optimize through SEO, as well as paid ads. So, I wouldn't discount, how your site operates on the back end. And again, that you might have to get a developer involved to maybe improve the site speed if you have a lot of rich images or videos on site. So it's kind of that balance of having a great user experience, but also having the site function really well in the back end. And that's a way that if you just take a little bit of time and heavy lifting to improve that, that can automatically improve your rankings and the effectiveness of your Google Ads account as well.